My thoughts about being invited and going to Morocco, I was super excited because I really feel like Jackie was Purge's yin to his yang, and I just been around so long. Um, I mean, for over 10 years and Purge being his friend and everything like that. So to see that he finally found true happiness.
Hey, welcome to Travel Tuesday Happy Hour. We're interviewing dope people doing dope things from around the world, and we're in season 4, Voyage 22. And it wouldn't make sense to not have my next guest on because she's been around since the beginning. And you know what? Let me just let her introduce herself.
Hey, good people. My name is Sophia, and I am a therapist. I've been a social worker for 14 years. I'm also an entrepreneur. I own my own supplement line, Body by Silka B. I've been married for about going on 5 years, and I'm also a bodybuilder. I compete in the figure category.
So, you're a wife, you're an entrepreneur, you're a bodybuilder. When do you have time for all of this? But you know what? We'll get to this at a later time. Now, what got you into traveling in the first place?
So, what got me into traveling? I've always traveled since a kid. From the age of 2, I've been traveling the world. So, I thank my parents for exposing me to things outside of Philadelphia that's allowed me to have the passion to travel. And then that's one of the things that me and my husband love to do is travels, and that's our thing. So traveling, yeah.
So, traveling since you was 2 and you just happen to find one of the most amazing men out there that just loves to travel with you. That's actually super dope. Now, what keeps you traveling? What's that one thing that makes you want to say, I want to keep traveling?
I love to travel. I'm a foodie, so I love traveling just to try different foods, to experience different cultures and things, um, to expand myself outside of the United States and to just realize that the stereotypes that people paint the picture of different countries and things are not true. So I like to experience things firsthand and just embrace it, as well as that's me and my husband's thing. Traveling, we've been traveling ever since we met. I met my husband on a vacation, so it's like I travel is life for me, and I will never stop.
So you got me at food, but I do understand travel is life. So, best believe I definitely understand that. Now, what are, if any, your most memorable moment traveling?
I have so many memorable trips. I mean, really good stories and everything, but I will say one of my most favorite and memorable trips was to Bali. Uh, that's where I got engaged. We also met a lifelong friend in Bali. I can't wait to go back to Bali. I can actually see myself owning a home in Bali. He was our tour guide and he turned into a friend. We was able to actually go and have like a traditional Bali dinner with his family. We sat on the floor. I mean, some of the best food I've had in Bali when I was there. So Bali has a special place in my heart where I got engaged to my husband and as well as our travel guide who became a friend. I mean, what more can you ask for? And we hiked the volcano. Like, how cool is that? And the food is good too.
Oh no, you got me beat. You got me beat. I want to go to Bali. You went. Not only did you go to Bali, you got engaged in Bali, met some lifelong friends in Bali, willing to move to Bali, and talking about going up a volcano. You got me beat. Now, with that being said, do you still have a bucket list of places that you want to go?
One of the places that's on our bucket list, we said we want to get to it before we have kids, is Zanzibar. We are itching to get there, and we're going to definitely make it happen. I mean, I feel like COVID really kind of put a damper on us trying to hit our bucket list when it comes to traveling, but we're getting back into it and we're realizing, that's one of our things. Like that's our love language is traveling. So we are getting this to Zanzibar. We're hoping within like the next year or two. My bucket list, okay?
See, I'm gonna need you to get out my head and get off of my bucket list because you either hit or are hitting some of the places that I wanted to go to. But I want to actually switch gears a little bit here. Voyage 22 is, the wedding between me and Jackie. Some would say the wedding of the century. How did you find out and what were your thoughts?
When I heard about the wedding, I want to say Purge told me about it initially, and my thoughts about being invited and going to Morocco, I was super excited because I really feel like Jackie was Purge's yin to his yang, and I just been around so long. Um, I mean, for over 10 years and Purge being his friend and everything like that. So to see that he finally found true happiness, I don't give a freak if he was going to the moon. I was going to go there and, be a part of this joyful moment and experience. So I was ecstatic. What you mean what I thought?
See, this is why I love you so much. People like you is why some of the guests coined it God's guest list, right? Because it was, only people that we knew truly loved us and would be willing to take um, such an amazing trip with us. Now, with that being said, some people had some trouble setting up with their, travel arrangements and stuff like that. But what was preparing for this trip like for you?
So my planning process for this trip, because I do bodybuilding and everything, I kind of had to check in with like my coach and kind of see like things that I could try to eat while I was out there. So I asked for like what was going to be the menu for the wedding, as well as we had to find a babysitter for our dear Haku, which is my son. He's my fur baby. Um, and he don't go to like no what's those things called again? No shelter or anything like that. My dog likes to stay in, in the house. So we had to find someone to like actually stay in the home with him and everything. And also it was we had some troubles and hiccups. Actually, our flight was not canceled. We missed our flight because of like COVID things, and it was a venture to travel outside the country during COVID, but we made it work. I also made sure I packed certain snacks so that I wasn't eating certain things at outside the airport. So I made it work for me. I even bought grapefruits. Yes, I did, and nuts and everything. Like I made sure I was ready to travel.
You got to make sure the fur babies are taken care of. But you know what we realized was there was a lot of people having issues with transportation because, as some of you might know, the airports were opening and closing, and depending on where you were, they wouldn't let you connect from certain places. Now, did it help having a travel guide or a travel agent set things up? Shout out to Stella Travels.
I like the accommodations of paying for the trip. I will say the travel agent could have been a lot nicer when we had questions. It seemed like she was kind of coming off a little snarky, so I didn't really appreciate that. So I wouldn't probably use her again because when you're traveling, you have a bunch of questions and things, so you can't seem like you're frustrated and the traveler just trying to make sure that they are spending their money correctly. Um, and me, I am honestly like a free spirit when it comes to like if I'm ever planning, I might say I want to go here, there, and there, but I don't like a asshole tight schedule. I like to, kind of go with the flow type of thing. It becomes a little overwhelming and exhausting. I know vacations, you really need a vacation from a vacation, but I did like the option too, just to kind of jump in and out when you wanted to, type of thing. But I'm a free spirit when it comes to like planning stuff. I'm a planner, but not really a planner.
Wow. I'm sorry you had that experience. And it's great to see that you're a type of go with the flow type of person. Now, was this your first time in Africa or have you been to Africa before? In either case, What was your experience like now versus the last time you were?
So this was actually our second time in Africa. We actually did our honeymoon in Egypt, and definitely two different vibes. I feel like it was a little more slower pace compared to Egypt. Two, both of them are two beautiful countries and everything. However, Morocco kind of gave me like Arizona vibes. So I felt like I went to left Arizona and went to Arizona with nicer people.
Now, I do agree with you. The Egypt vibe versus the Morocco vibe are definitely two different types of environments. But I don't know about going to and coming from Arizona. That's a little different. But in either case, hey, that's your experience. If that's what you went through, then I completely understand. Now we had a series of events this whole week. What was the most memorable event for you?
So I want to say the most memorable event out of your multiple events that you had, I feel I enjoyed the dinner, the group dinner that we had that where you guys like kind of like pay for everyone and everyone told like their stories about how they met you guys and what they thought about, each other's companion. So I really enjoyed that and was able to just mix and mingle with other couples and people and just kind of hearing everyone's story. So I enjoyed that. I was able to sit still and just kind of get to know people a little bit better, as well as you guys.
That was actually one of my favorite evenings as well. Just to kind of hearing people talking just nothing but great things about us. It was about me, of course. But what was the highlight of the entire trip for you? You don't have to say the wedding, you don't have to say the amazing table, the dinner, but what was your highlight of the entire trip?
One of my highlights of the trip is when we did, was it when we went through that alleyway, whatever that dinner y'all paid for, I can't remember, but that damn lamb was delicious. I'll never forget that. It's like they almost just killed him that day and just roasted his little Bambi ass. And it was just delicious with how they put the gravy on that. And I love food, but I'll never forget that lamb. Some of the best lamb I've had in my life, and I'll never forget that. But the wedding was great too, with that event. But that lamb at that restaurant was,
I'm glad the food was the highlight. The lamb was amazing that evening, and I second your emotion. If I can get another slice or another piece of that, I would be in heaven. Um, but similar to me, you've traveled the world, and I like to ask my guests this: what has your travels been like as a black woman? And it doesn't necessarily have to be necessarily a negative or positive experience, but what was your experience as traveling as a black woman?
I can honestly say my experience traveling as a black woman to other countries honestly has been better than my experience living in America, truth be told. I feel like I've never really been disrespected, except in Dominican Republic. Um, I felt the way there, and I'll never go back to DR. But outside of DR, I really haven't had any bad experience. Also, too, when you travel, they can tell when you are a Black American. I mean, they knew right away, even when we was in Bali, like, oh my God, y'all American, and we like, well, how you know? They like, oh, we watch movies, so they can tell by the way we dress and things like that. But however, they are respectful. I will say that I have no complaints traveling outside the U.S. as a black woman, and I encourage it just so that you can get your own feel and things like that. And also, just be respectful of the land, know the laws, and just respect people cultures too.
I'm glad your experience wasn't all bad except for that one scenario. And I agree with you. Respecting the culture of the countries that you're visiting can really make or break your experience. So, with that being said, could you leave us with a tip so someone that's listening and is interested in traveling can kind of use it to kind of get them started with their travel journey?
So, I would say one of the tips I would give the people is just do your research. Um, Also, to make sure that you budget things too as well when you go to other countries. And it's- I just feel like make sure you bring tip money too. Don't think even with you working, going to all inclusive and things like that, that oh these things are paid for. Remember, they might be being underpaid. Therefore, I think it's good to tip too. Some people are just cheap, so don't think because it's all inclusive that you should not tip and things like that as well. And just respect the culture and country. Make sure you look up and see what's basically how to dress and things like that because your typical vacation things might not be, appropriate for that culture too. So just make sure you know the law of the land. And then from there just research like what you want to do too. So you have a game plan of how much things cost.
Now, those are some very meaningful tips. And if you take anything from it, I think something you mentioned earlier, respect the culture. Now, where can people find you? Where can they kind of support you in all the things that you're doing?
So you can find me on Instagram at so crazy with two Z's. I am also have my business page as well, Body by Soka B on Instagram as well, and underscore supplements. And again, that's Body by Soka B underscore supplements. And basically, right now, I'm getting ready for my show. I'm in prep. So, excuse the little bit of a tired face, but I'm getting ready for my bodybuilding show coming up in July, and as well as working a full time job, as well as being a therapist, and as well as getting my business off the ground. Clean supplements. I like to promote no added sugars, no fillers. I'm all about clean, holistic approach, and I look forward to you guys checking me out and also shopping with me in the future. So check me out.
Now, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate this so much. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe, like, leave a comment, and hit that notification bell so you know when other dope guests like Sophia jump on. With that being said, stay safe, travel more. Peace.